I swear, after that night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could see was that shadow leaning toward the camera, whispering, "She knows." I didn't know if it meant me or Irina, but I knew one thing for sure. Something terrible was happening in that house. The next morning, the house felt heavier, almost like the air itself was watching me. Irina was already awake, cooking breakfast as if nothing had happened. Her eyes looked swollen, like she'd been crying all night. "Did you sleep well?" I asked quietly. She smiled faintly. "Better than ever." He visited me again. My stomach twisted. She said it so calmly, as if it were completely normal. "Irina, you have to stop saying that. You're scaring me." She looked up from her cup of tea, her eyes suddenly cold and empty. "You'll understand soon, once he decides to show himself to you." Her words froze me. What did she mean? Show himself to me? That same day, Mikhail left for the city for 2 nights. He said he needed to handle some paperwork for his job. Part of me was relieved. Maybe I'd finally get a chance to confront Irina properly. But a much bigger part of me was terrified to be alone with her. That night, as the clock struck 10, I sat on the bed with my laptop open. The camera was still set up in the kitchen, just like before. I kept the live feed on, my heart racing with every flicker of movement. Nothing happened for hours. Then exactly at 2 a.m. she appeared. Irina entered the kitchen holding that same candle and the old wooden box. She sat down slowly and began whispering words I didn't understand. It wasn't Russian anymore. It sounded ancient, deep, rhythmic, like a prayer or an incantation. She took the lock of hair and placed it beside the candle. Then, with trembling hands, she unwrapped a piece of paper, one of those old letters. "Ivan, my love, come back to me. I kept my promise," she whispered. The candle flame rose higher, unnaturally tall. The video screen flickered, static lines cut through the image. And then, the temperature in my room dropped. I could see my own breath. I whispered to myself, "Oh my God, and what is this?" On the screen, Irina's eyes suddenly lifted, staring directly into the camera. She smiled. "You shouldn't be watching this, Anna." I jumped from my bed, slamming the laptop shut. How could she know? The camera was hidden perfectly. Then I heard it, from the kitchen. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. 1, 2, 3. I grabbed my phone's flashlight and crept toward the door. The hallway was freezing. My breath fogged in front of me. The light in the kitchen was off, but the candle was still burning. Irina was gone. The door to her room was open now, and a faint whisper echoed from inside. "He's here." I peeked inside. She was standing in front of the window, her back to me, holding the candle. The flame reflected off the glass, and behind her, I saw him. A tall, faint figure. No eyes, no face, just the outline of a man standing inches behind her. I wanted to scream, but my voice wouldn't come out. I stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. The sound broke her trance. She turned, her face pale, eyes wide with shock. "What did you do?" she shouted. "You broke the circle." "What circle? Irina, what are you doing?" I cried. "You don't understand. He's trapped." I was keeping him calm. "You're bringing him back from the dead. This isn't love, it's madness." She shook her head violently, clutching the candle. The flame flickered, and for a moment the figure moved toward her. "I just wanted to say goodbye," she cried. Then the candle went out. Darkness. I don't remember much after that. When I opened my eyes, the sun was rising and I was lying on the floor. Irina was gone. I ran outside and found her in the backyard, sitting beside the burned candle, her hands covered in ash. She looked at me with tired eyes and whispered, "It's over." I sent him away. I didn't believe her. But she looked different, lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. I helped her back inside and made tea. For the first time in weeks, the house felt peaceful. But deep down, something still didn't feel right. That evening, as I packed our things for the trip home, I decided to check the camera footage one last time. Just curiosity, I told myself. I shouldn't have. At 2:10 a.m. during the blackout, The moment the candle went out, the camera captured something. Irina was standing alone, but a dark hand appeared from behind her shoulder, placing itself on hers gently. Then she said, "Go in peace, my love." And the shadow slowly vanished. But then, just before the video ended, the camera shook, as if something brushed past the lens. A whisper followed, almost inaudible. "Thank you, Anna." I froze. He said my name. We left the dacha the next morning. Irina said she would visit later. She wanted some time alone. Mikhail and I didn't speak much on the drive home. A week later, he got a call. His mother had passed away in her sleep. Peacefully, the doctor said. When I heard the news, I didn't cry. I just felt quiet. That night, I went through my phone and saw a notification from the old camera app. Motion detected at Dacha kitchen, 2:13 a.m. I thought it was a glitch, maybe leftover footage. But when I opened the video, the timestamp was from last night. The camera had somehow turned itself on again. The kitchen was empty, dust floating in the dim light. Then a faint silhouette appeared. It looked like Irina. She stood near the table holding something small, the wooden box. She placed it on the counter, looked straight at the camera, and smiled. "He's waiting for you, Anna." The feed cut to black. Sometimes I wonder if we ever truly left that house. If maybe something followed us home. I keep the camera locked away now, hidden in a drawer. But every night around 2 a.m. the red light blinks once. Just once. As if something out there still remembers me. Love is powerful. But when it refuses to die, it can turn into something else. Something that doesn't belong to this world. In memory of Irina, I swear, I still can't believe what that camera captured. That night changed how I looked at my family forever. My hands were trembling when I hit play. And what I saw on that tiny screen made my blood run cold. It all started a few weeks ago. My husband, Mikhail, and I decided to stay for a while at his family, ours old dacha, a quiet wooden house deep in the countryside. His mother, Irina, had just come out of surgery, and she needed help recovering. At first, I thought it would be peaceful. Fresh air, trees, the sound of birds. But from the very first night, something didn't feel right. That night, I nudged Mikhail awake. "Mikhail, did you hear that? Someone's walking in the hallway." He just mumbled, half asleep. "It's just Mom, Anna. She probably needs water or something. Go back to sleep." But I couldn't. Because the sound wasn't footsteps. It was whispering. And it wasn't coming from her room. It was coming from the kitchen. Over the next few days, Irina behaved strangely. She was polite, even warm, but always distant. She'd spend most of her time in her old room, a room she never let anyone enter. Every single night before bed, I'd hear the click of a key turning in her door lock. I asked Mikhail, "Why does she lock her door every night? It's not like anyone's going to steal her things." He just shrugged. "She's always been like that since my dad died. Just give her space." But I couldn't ignore the unease growing inside me. Her eyes sometimes looked tired, hollow, as if she hadn't truly slept in years. And every night, exactly at 2 a.m., I heard her talking, sometimes whispering, sometimes laughing quietly to herself. Alone. At least, that's what I thought. One evening, I was standing by the kitchen door when I heard her voice again, soft and trembling. "I did what you asked. Please, don't make me do it again." I froze. Who was she talking to? I peered through the crack in the door and saw her sitting at the kitchen table, a single candle burning in front of her. No one else was in the room. That was the moment I decided I had to find out what was really going on. I told Mikhail I wanted to buy a camera, pretending I'd use it to record the garden, maybe catch some wild animals for fun. He just smiled and said, "Sure, but don't scare Mom with your gadgets." If only he knew. That night I hid the tiny motion sensor camera behind a flower vase on the kitchen windowsill, angled perfectly at the table. I told myself it was just curiosity, but deep down, I was already afraid. The first night, nothing happened. just the usual creaks of the old house and the hum of the fridge. The second night, silence again. By the third night, I was starting to feel silly. Maybe I was just imagining things. But then, at 2:13 a.m., I woke up. The air felt cold, unnaturally cold. I could hear faint movement coming from the kitchen again. This time, I didn't go. I just waited for morning to check the footage. When the sun finally rose, I went straight for the camera. Hands shaking, I plugged the memory card into my laptop and opened the video file. At first, it was just the empty kitchen. Then, at 2:02 a.m., Irina walked in, slowly, wearing her old nightgown. She sat at the table, lit the same candle, and just stared into the flame. Her lips began to move. I cranked up the volume. "I did everything you asked, Ivan. Please, just let me rest." Ivan. That was her late husband's name. My heart skipped a beat. Then she said something that made my skin crawl. "If you're here, give me a sign." For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the candle flickered violently, and a shadow passed behind her. I paused the video. The shadow was tall, broad-shouldered, unmistakably a man's silhouette. But I knew for a fact there was no one else in that room that night. I waited for Mikhail to wake up. When he did, I told him everything. The whispers, the candle, the video. He didn't even want to see it. He got irritated. "Anna, please, she's grieving. You're making something out of nothing." I was getting frustrated. "Then who's that shadow in the video, Mikhail? Tell me that." But he just got angry. "Enough! Stop spying on my mother." He slammed the door and left for work. I just sat there, tears in my eyes, staring at the paused frame, at that dark, inhuman shape behind Irina. I wanted to delete the video, but something inside me whispered, "Not yet." That afternoon, Irina went out to visit a neighbor. I took the chance to check her room. The lock wasn't as strong as I thought. A hairpin was all it took. The room smelled of old perfume and candle wax. There were framed photos on the dresser. Irina and her husband, young and happy. But tucked behind one of the photo frames, I found a small wooden box. It was wrapped in red cloth and tied with a thin thread. Inside were strange things. A bundle of old letters, a lock of hair tied with a ribbon, a small piece of burned candle wax, and something else. A photograph of Irina's husband, but with the eyes scratched out. I picked up one of the letters and carefully unfolded it. It was written in Irina's handwriting, but the date at the top froze my blood. March 17th, 2018. That was 5 years after he had died. "You shouldn't have found that, Anna." I turned around. She was standing in the doorway, pale as chalk, her hands trembling. I stammered, I was just cleaning." But she cut me off, her voice quiet but cold. "No, you weren't. You wanted to know. And now, you will?" She stepped into the room, her eyes dark and distant. For a second, I thought she might collapse, but then she smiled faintly. "You think I'm crazy, don't you? But he's still here. Ivan never left me." I tried to reason with her. "Your husband's gone, Irina. He passed away years ago." "Gone?" she said. "No. He promised. I just have to keep the candle burning and he comes back to me." Her voice cracked, a strange mix of sorrow and obsession. I pleaded, "You can't keep doing this. It's not healthy." She just whispered, "It's not me who keeps it alive. It's him. He won't let go." I didn't know what to say. I carefully placed the box back and walked out of the room. Irina didn't stop me. She just watched me with those lifeless eyes. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about her words. He won't let go. I went to the kitchen again. The candle was still there on the table, half burned. The camera's red light blinked softly in the dark like an eye that never closed. I unplugged it and slipped it into my pocket. But before I could leave, I heard it. A whisper, right behind me. "Anna." I spun around. The kitchen was empty. I ran back to my room and locked the door, my heart pounding so loud I thought it would wake Mikhail. I had to check the footage again, one last time. At 2:15 a.m., the candle flickered. Irina's face turned toward the camera, but this time there was someone standing beside her. A man. No color, no detail, just a shape. He leaned forward and whispered something directly into the lens. The audio glitched, but I could make out 2 words. She knows. The screen went black. That was the night I realized. Something in that house was watching me too.